Hello, everyone. It is Tuesday, so you know what that means. This is your HomeGirl Tuesdays at 10, bringing you some information to help you along your home buying process. Okay, I was just checking. What website was that? Bigger Pockets. Yesterday, and they're saying that Zillow is actually projecting 2025 to be a year where there's going to be a more influx of buyers, more properties being listed. So basically, the housing market is going to have an upswing. So here I am, the home girl, checking in to give you some tools and tips and insight on how you can make your home buying experience a better situation for you, your family, and your loved ones, and most importantly, your future. You have to understand that purchasing a home is not a small thing, it's a big thing. And you also have to understand that it is a chess game, not checker. So you want to make sure that this investment is going to put you and your family on the path to creating generational wealth, equity, all of those things. There, most of the millionaires, I forget the percentage, but a lot of them became millionaires through real estate. So you want to make sure that you're making your next move, your best move, and everything is going to work out for your future. It's actually a setup, okay? So today's we're going to talk about 4 things that are essential that you must need to know for the home buying process. So you hear all these different things. You probably reading all these different things. Everybody has an opinion, but I'm giving you straight fact. Number one, the rules of real estate are always local. You know what that means? I'll tell you what that means. That means that you cannot look at where you are. So, say if you're in Charlotte and then compare that to what's going on in Houston. It's not the same market. You can't compare yourself if you live on the outskirts of Charleston and in the more rural areas of Charleston. You can't compare that to what's going on in New York. Sometimes you can't even compare that to what's going on 3 counties over. So know what's going on in the area that you want to buy, because I had a listing in Charlotte earlier this year, and I promise you we were under contract in 2 days. I had another listing here closer to Lancaster, and it sat for a while. So that kind of gives you some indication that even if you're, 3 towns over, the real estate market is local to where you're trying to buy. So you can't always go in and compare what's happening there to what's happening where you want to make that purchase, okay? Secondly, the best deals when you're coming to find a home and putting an offer in on a home, the best deals are usually win-win. So that means that the seller wins and you win as the buyer. So that doesn't mean that you're going to go in and lowball the seller. That doesn't mean that you're going to go in and ask for all these crazy things from the seller, because he wants to win too. She wants to win too. So you have to be fair. So you want to make sure that you're being smart. You have an agent who's not just like going in for the gusto, because as the market heats up, right, even if you are seeing a home that's been sitting, but as the market heats up, you don't want someone else's offer to get chosen over yours because you tried to go in and lowball them. Now, on the flip side, as the buyer, you also want to make sure that you're getting a good deal too. You're getting at a price that's comfortable for you. So that goes back to that pre-approval conversation we had last week. Making sure that, no, week before last, sorry, that you know where your numbers fall, so that you're going in writing an offer that's comfortable for you when it comes down to it. Assessing your financings, knowing how much you can afford to pay in closing costs. And sometimes you may have to stretch. You can ask the seller, but it doesn't mean that they're going to say yes. So you want to make sure you're being fair and putting yourself in the seller's shoes, and as the buyer as a seller, putting yourself in the buyer's shoes, because you want to make sure that it's a win-win, okay? Thirdly, price and value are not the same, okay? So just because the home is listed at 200,000 doesn't mean that you're going to go in and see that the house is worth 200,000. Same thing for the sellers. Just because you feel like your house may be worth 300,000 doesn't mean that the buying market actually thinks that too. So you have to make sure that you're getting with a realtor, and you're also doing your homework too to see what's selling in the area and what it's actually sold for. So that will give you the value of what people are willing to pay for a house like that. Now, if you have expensive upgrades, high end upgrades, that's different. Those are kind of some variances that you can kind of see and experience. But more often than not, just because you have a house listed for a certain price doesn't mean that the market is going to honor that, doesn't mean that they're going to honor that value. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're doing your homework, you're getting with a realtor. I talked about vetting your realtor. You're getting with a realtor who actually understands how to vet in the market. Okay, and lastly, you want to choose with your heart and not your head. A lot of times, especially for you first time home buyers, like, you go in shooting for the moon on your very first purchase. Studies show that, and even I'm living proof, that your first home is not your forever home. I'm sitting here in my second home and I'm still not done. This is not my final destination when it comes to my final home, right? So you don't have to be all in with your head like, oh, it doesn't have this, it doesn't have that, it doesn't have that. Make sure it feels good to you. It's a place that can feel like home. It's a place that you can make it your own. If you've been following me for a while, I've had to get a new Facebook page, but I've spoken heavily on my very first purchase, which was a 2-bedroom, 2.5-bath townhouse, and it was 1,008 square feet. When I bought that house, I went in knowing that that would not be my forever place. So I went in knowing that that was the place for me and my girls at the time. I knew that this was our first stop. I knew that it felt like home. It's the place that I could make feel like home. So I chose with my heart. I didn't go in saying, oh, it's not big enough. Oh, I don't like this carpet. Oh, this, that. I literally turned that whole townhome around. If you were to see the pictures of the before and after, you would see that it is not even the same place, okay? Same thing with this house. When I first saw this place, I was like, I don't really like it, but it does have all the things that we need. And so when you talk about your needs, that's pulling at your heart, right? So you want to make sure that the home has everything that you need. It satisfies your heart, and not getting to your head about all the things that it doesn't have, or I don't like this, or I don't like that. You can change those things. That's the beauty of being a homeowner. You can make your house home. You can literally make the house work for you until your next stop. Okay, so those are the 4 things that I want you to just keep in mind as this market starts to take a turn. Make sure that you're vetting your realtor. You're going through the pre-approval process to know where your numbers fall. Again, because the more educated you are as a buyer, the better experience that you're going to have, and the more that you can have negotiation power, the more that you're privy to, right? Privy meaning the more that you're knowledgeable of. So understand that where you want to buy, has to be local as far as like what the market says. So you're shopping and for the place where you want to buy, not for what you're seeing in California, or not what you're seeing 3 counties over. You have to know that the real estate rules apply to being to locality, like to where you are. Just because something may sell for $100,000 more over here doesn't mean that that's going to happen here. Okay. Again, secondly, make sure that you're writing an offer that is a win-win situation. Don't go in shorting the seller. Don't go in going in too low. I've written offers and spoken to the listing agent, and they've just said the sellers just straight out rejected those offers. Like, they didn't even come back to negotiate. And that's not what you want, especially if you want the house. So you want to make sure that you're assessing your finances and you know where you fall, so that when you go to write the offer, you're being fair. And also on the selling side, you're actually gaining the profits, but you want to make sure that you're able to negotiate in a way as the seller that the buyer is still okay to move forward with purchasing your home. Thirdly, again, price and value are not the same. Just because the home may be listed at a certain price doesn't mean that it's going to sell for that certain price. So that's where having a knowledgeable realtor comes in to run comps for you, see what the other homes in the area have sold for, because that gives you an idea of value. And lastly, make sure that you are choosing with your head and not make sure you're choosing with your heart and not your head, because if the home has everything that you need, honey child, you can make the home be yours, and then it will be what you want it to be. So this has been your Homegirl Tuesdays at 10, checking in, giving you digestible snippets of information that could help you along your home buying journey. See y'all next week.